You're listening to Building the Dream, a show that inspires people to explore business, entrepreneurship, and professional development. I'm Matt Lambert.
And I'm Alex Kazitsa, and we're sitting down with business professionals and entrepreneurs to talk about their journeys, the lessons they've learned, and how they're building their dream. Hey guys, Matt and Alex with Building the Dream Duluth. Today we're here with Rick Lampton. Rick is a serial entrepreneur in the Twin Ports area. He's got 7 different restaurants and a couple other different businesses. Rick, why don't you give us just a quick little introduction of yourself?
Well, I'm the managing partner of the Grizzlies locally, the 3 Seven West Tap Houses, 310 Pub, Blue Rock Grill, which is in progress of transforming, as where we are right now, and Boulder Tap House in Grand Rapids. Also, I have a online auction company called Twin Ports Bid, and my wife and I decided we weren't busy enough, so we decided to open a gift shop.
So you are a busy guy.
Yes.
So thank you for taking the time to sit down with us. How did you get your start? Where did all of these things come from?
Well, I actually was never going to go in the restaurant business. I had cooked as a kid and whatever, but I liked it. But out of college, I wanted to get to Duluth, and I had 3 interviews. I got the first sales job selling hockey gear. I had never worn skates in my life. The guy liked me, and then I interviewed at Ponderosa, which some younger people won't remember, but some older people will know what it is. And then I was supposed to go to a place called Amsoil, and I didn't know what that was, so I blew it off and I didn't go to the interview.
I actually used to work for Amsoil.
I already got the first 2, and I liked the guy at the restaurant, so I'm like, I'm probably going to take that one anyway, so I'm not even going to the 3rd one. I have no idea what it was.
No, they're pretty big.
They're a pretty big company. They're doing okay. They're doing okay.
To say the least.
Right.
So from that humble start, what made you want to get into entrepreneurship?
Well, actually, I'm actually somewhat afraid of it. Actually, I don't like taking risk. I don't like taking certain things. So I have to have certain things lined up. We, as Ponderosa, were purchased by another franchisee who has Bonanzas, and they took over. It's the same menu, owned by the same Metro Media company at the time, and we changed to Bonanzas, and I really liked the company then, so I started hanging out. I moved to the cities to run a Bonanza, got back, and during that part of it, the 2 owners, the Letness brothers out of St. Cloud, decided to create Grizzlies. So kind of came with the building type thing, and we started changing all our Bonanzas to Grizzlies. So I was part of Apple Valley doing, I demoed a 10,000 square foot building one summer with me and one elderly man. And it was a lot of work, but it was that.
You learned a lot though, I bet.
I learned a lot,
Yeah.
and that's why I love construction now. It's just that I'm not necessarily good at the finer details, but I can do some. I can do some demo.
Down.
I love demo. Yeah, my kids love demo. My wife loves demo. We just like breaking stuff, and find someone else to fix it. But so we started running Grizzlies, and I was an assistant manager. I wasn't even the GM. In Apple Valley, didn't get along with the GM there. I call him, I go, move me or I'm done. And I don't know what would have happened then. I would have probably did sales or something somewhere. I can BS with the best of them, I guess. But they moved me. They wanted to keep me, and which created a lot of loyalty on my part. And went to Superior, was open already. Duluth wasn't. And he says, as soon as Duluth's open, you can be the assistant there. And they actually kept on an extra salaried manager until it was open. So that was cool. And then ran it as assistant manager until the Superior GM left, and then I got that store and started creating my own little history there as far as running good numbers and showing my worth as a GM.
Yeah. Well, like you said, that loyalty is huge. They showed that they valued you enough to keep you on with another salary GM. Right. Hey, Rick, we need you here. We're willing to pay for you.
Right.
So that's
which,
huge.
as not necessarily what I really wanted to do, but they showed, interest in me, and I had value to them. So to me, that was worth sticking around and figuring out what that would come to.
Yeah.
So, not too much longer after, about a year or so, 2 years, the GM from the Duluth store left, and I took over both stores. And at that time, the owner group decided that I should be a partner. So, not one penny. This is where I say I'm not really an entrepreneur. So, nothing invested. I was given 10% of the 2 stores.
Just on sweat equity.
Just sweat equity. Yep.
Wow.
Not that I didn't earn it and pay for it in one way or another, but I didn't open my wallet, which was empty. So would not have been able to do that anyway. So so then I had the 2 stores for quite some time. I mean, many years, and both of them were profitable, and we started struggling with the Duluth one a little bit, and but we started seeing the tap beer trend, which we were kind of expediting already as Grizzlies. We were adding keg boxes. However, we get more taps in our Grizzlies, we did it. We had, I think, Superior Grizzlies ended up with 32, and if you look in there now, you'd be like, "There's no way you got 32 in here." But we got them in there. We just took everything out and jammed keg boxes. But that's what
People
they
want.
wanted. That's
Yeah.
what they wanted, and so we decided that we wanted to create some other concepts. So one part of our group was working on Boulder Tap House, and then I was working on the 7 West concept. So kind of fun there. It's like I still don't have to put any money into it, but I get to create a brand new concept
and come up with a vision and,
Right.
and what you want it to be.
Grizzlies, I had input in the menu, input in the concept, but I wasn't starting from the
Essentially
first,
nothing, like the
from
ground
zero.
Yeah.
So that was fun. So that was during that process, we built another Grizzlies in Canal Park. That's where you make the mistakes, and you you figure out how to fix them. That one was, we have 2 Grizzlies in the Twin Ports. A third one for the tourists will be perfect, but our customer base is predominantly baby boomers. They're not going to walk in Canal Park. It's just too far.
Try to park far away and find a way to get in.
That's where on the entrepreneurial side is, I didn't have the equity to fail like that. So that's where my partner comes in. He does have the equity. If we fail, we'll figure it out and buy us some time to figure it out. And
so what's going to be the most?
So we built that. Yeah, we built that Grizzlies and 7 West in the same year. So I literally gave the keys to the GM and walked down the street and started building the next one.
knocking stuff down, and
let's start knocking stuff down again. This one looks good. Let's build something else. So, so that was fun. That the building part is just seeing a shell of a building or an old building and tearing out, Superior 7 West, 7 layers of wall before I got to the brick.
Is that where 7 West came from? The 7 West?
Yeah.
It should be, but it's actually the address of the first 7 West. So that's a funny story because we kept bouncing names off everybody trying to get that tap house name down, whatever, and we were down to about a week, and we had to put something on paper for our license, and just call it 7 West Tap House. We can change it later if we want. And so that's where 7 West Tap House.
But it sticks. I mean,
But it does. It's a good kitchen name.
Yeah, absolutely. And your logo looks sick too.
Yeah, we added those, the kind of the retro colors, and you go in the original. We just kind of tied it all together, and that part's fun. When you get the right people with the right vision of bringing colors together, then it's just awesome. It's just so much fun for me, anyway.
Yeah, well, and that's one of the things that I do remember talking about when we had first sat down is you try to fit each and every restaurant with like some kind of unique theme or different items just to make things stand out. So and that's the cool thing about
the bells for 7 West Tap House are off of locomotives from the late 1800s, early 1900s.
Yeah,
and it's just so dumb but catchy.
Right. So scavenger hunt.
Go
look for the bells.
First bell I completely overpaid. Absolutely. After I started searching a little bit, I found them a little cheaper. And, one of our other partner group built the 7 West in St. Cloud. They bought a farmer's bell. They weren't gonna pull out 2 G's for a bell, so they wanted they went a different route, and it sounds like they spent $400, but
it's cool being able to put your own touch when you start that thing back
you know, and it's, you know, having every 7 West has a antique glass type thing on the men's room. So the downtown has glass block right over the urinal, so you can see shadows walking by. Superior has an old window that I actually salvaged out of upstairs of the 310 building in Canal. I kind of collect doors and weird things, but that was one of those things I had to have. And trying to get it sandblast the window so you can't see through it, and it was like, I'm gonna break this thing, and you know, and it turned out okay. We hit it when we got inspected because they never would have passed the glass. So we made sure there was scaffolding in front of it, so they never saw it when we did the inspection. So, whether they would have not approved us or not, I don't know, but we weren't taking any chances. We hit it. And then 7 West on the Hill, I have a buddy who's a collector, and he's like, if you ever find a spot, I've got this stained glass peacock, and it's the one side when the light shines through is so gorgeous. So most people would put that side facing the customers. I have it facing in the men's bathroom.
Sorry, ladies.
So if you ever want a tour, just let me know. I'll bring you in the men's bathroom. But in the men's bathroom, and there's no way that any one of them appreciate it. And every time I was there today, I'm like, oh my God, that's gorgeous. Yeah. But it just shines and lights up, and it's just gorgeous. Yeah. Just those little twists and whatever. Just the average customer may not know about it, but I just smile every time I see those little differences.
You know it's yours.
Yeah.
You know you put all these touches in.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, with managing a restaurant comes a lot of trials and tribulations. How do you go about not only managing one, but managing several? Is there a lot of overlap, or is there separate silos?
They're separate because they're different, but it's all in the people. So I've had very good luck with long-term managers and people with me. I have a regional manager now that is, I don't know how I ever functioned without him. I'll be honest, especially with technology. If I can get my email open, I'm pretty happy.
You're doing good for the day.
Actually, in the 90s, we were pretty convinced that this computer thing wasn't going to catch on. So we were pretty content with, you know, we'd have our spreadsheets or whatever, that we'd have one kid that from the high school would redo it once a month for me, and I'd just white out what I didn't want, and he'd go type it up, and yeah, but now it's gotten pretty techy. So.
Would you say that's the first person you hire as a general manager, or how do you go about the hiring process?
GMs, for the most part, I've never just hired a GM. They've already worked for me.
Okay.
So we're a very big advocate of promoting within. So, you know, there's certain situations. I think if I have one right now, if I have a GM, everyone was promoted within. Pretty sure, yeah, I don't have one that wasn't promoted within. And sometimes that line gets a little long and they have to move on, or they're not gonna move up, which I get, that happens, but it's knowing that, you know, I had a general manager leave one time, which didn't want to lose, you know, a long time personal friend. I walked in the back and hired the GM as soon as she left the building. But I already had that. I already knew that. I already knew I could do that. And then his assistant became the GM, he became the GM, and
we
didn't miss a beat. You know, there's some learning curves, but it's all about the people and how you treat them. And, you know, I can't be as strict as I was in the 90s. Nobody would ever work for us. But I just have that work ethic of you're here to do a job and do it, you know. But now I have to be a little nicer about it.
But I mean, you're placing a lot of trust in those people. Like, that's your whole livelihood. And when you're taking a step back.
And that was probably the hardest thing for me, is to stop micromanaging and to give them the reins and then guide them without even them knowing you're guiding. You know?
Yeah.
That's the hardest part for me, is I would just as soon get in there and do half of the work or whatever. You know, when I say on projects, I do the demo. I literally get into the demo. It's like, I have my kids pulling nails, or it's like, we love tearing the buildings apart. That'll come up a lot in this interview. We like breaking things. You know, my kids are ramrods, and they can break anything.
Battering rams, knock it all
When
over.
we did 7 Spirit, my wife started breaking walls. I'm like, honey, we're not taking that wall out. And she looked at me like, just kidding, you know, stuff like that. So.
Well, and back to those employees, when they grow up with you like that, like when you have them for such a long period of time, they know what to expect from you as a boss, and you know to expect from them. So you get to know it. So yes, that I feel like that's a great way to facilitate.
And even the staff that
leaders.
leaders, like I still have people that I help and talk to and make their careers better. It's like, you did awesome for me. I'm not going to be mad at you because you tried to better yourself. It's like,
Right, you can't fault them.
I left buildings. I did, you know, I stayed at my first job or my 18th job or whatever. It's like, you gotta make yourself better. You know?
Yeah, if there's a step up.
I had a person recently. There's no way I want to lose him, but he's trying to better himself, and you have to admire that.
Absolutely. Have you ever had anything throughout your career and experience that really inspired you? Whether it was something that happened or a person that told you something, or something that just really like resonates with you.
Well, a big part of it is I don't ever think that I go to work. It's all about, to me, it's about having fun, and if you know me, you know I do. It's like, the second you guys walked in, I made you beers. I mean, it's just how it goes.
Gracious host.
My business partner, he's like, we'll build as many restaurants as you want. You know, we wanna, hopefully we make a little money, but as long as we have fun doing it, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
And that's probably the biggest one that stands with me. It's like, if you're not having fun doing it, don't do it.
It's
It's
a chore, and it's
a
stressful.
chore. It's stress. You know, you're still gonna have stress, but if you're doing things right, it should be manageable.
Yeah.
You know, we're going through a pandemic. It's like, we had no idea what was going on. It's like, I mean, how am I gonna pay rent? How am I gonna do? You know, it's like, especially now, there's 7 of them, and it's like, okay, now it's really difficult. You know?
Right.
So that was very challenging, and you know, we learned a lot. But yeah.
What was your biggest pivot during the pandemic?
Biggest pivot was not focusing so hard on some of the details that were like closing a restaurant. I've had restaurants open during snowstorms and whatever. Now it's because of, you know, whatever's going on, you know, with the labor market or whatever. It's like Labor Day, I gave every store the day off if they chose. One store decided to stay open. And that was the GM. And that showed me loyalty on him because he knew it would be a busy day.
Yeah.
But I didn't care. You can close if you want to. I'll give them a different day and they can get the staff the day off. But it just taking care of them now in a different way, you know, knowing that in the 90s we'd have applications upon applications. If you piss me off, I'm like, you're out.
Yeah.
Now it's like, okay, what's wrong? You know, but it's also a good thing. It's like we're actually learning about our employees a little bit more than we used to.
Yeah.
They're not just employees to be their, you know, family. You know?
Yeah.
So that part's a good transition, in my opinion. I don't know if I answered the question.
Yeah, you did.
Remember when I go off on tangents, you gotta
Right.
stop me.
Nope, that's what we're here for.
Just let them flow. So, if you were to give any advice to somebody who wants to get into this business, especially after a or in the trailing ends of a pandemic, what advice would you have for them?
Don't.
Expand a little bit.
You know, I'll give an example. I coach a softball team, and one of the girls found out who I was, and she's like, "Are you rich?" And my daughter pipes in. She goes, "Nope, just means he works a lot." And yes, there's money to be made, and we can make a fair living and that type of thing. But you better love it. You better, and you can't just. So many people don't do their research in many different paths, not just restaurants, but they don't do enough research. We've been doing this. You know, we've got hundreds of years of experience, and we still make mistakes. When you're putting your house on mortgage and whatever, you got to do your research and know what you're doing. Just people that love to cook in the backyard, and sometimes it works, but they don't do enough research.
Yeah.
It's like they don't understand everyone just thinks, oh my God, you charge $5 for a beer. I'm probably late right now, but they don't understand is we're punching. You put HVAC in, you're pumping it out as fast as it goes in. You got insurance, you got this, you got it's like it's a lot.
It's not just the cooking.
A lot of moving parts. Yes,
Yeah.
if I could just stand there and make a few burgers, I could be rich.
That'd be great.
But that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
That's
there's a
not how it works.
there's a lot of moving pieces and a lot of things that you
Yeah.
have to
And
manage.
you have to have people, the right people to manage each part. If one person has to do it, you're not going to accomplish anything.
Yeah.
You just put out fires.
What's the fine line between analysis paralysis and just jumping in without doing any work?
Well, you have to do the work. You have to, the true entrepreneur, a lot of people say are the risk takers, but the true entrepreneurs do their homework, and you always are going to take risk, but it's calculated risk.
And you hedge yourself.
We're remodeling a brand new restaurant right now. So that's where we are right now, because we did our research, but it didn't come true, and it's not always going to come true. And doesn't help opening up in a pandemic, and opening day got shut down for 51 days, and there's other circumstances. But we also knew once we got going a little bit that it wasn't going to make it. So us not being afraid to try something different, Grizzly's the 310 pub. Oh my God, all I want to do at Grizzly's was drink. Well, let's just open a bar. We took out half the seats and put games in. Like, people were genius. I'm like, no, we're just trying to get through the lease. We want to get out of here. But now it's like, and different things happened with a couple different places in Canal Park, and we're now the bar in Canal Park.
It's a place to be.
It is the place. I go to hockey games, and you're in the hallway, they're like, we gotta go, or we're never gonna get into 310. And I'm like, you never would have thought that would have ever come out of anybody's mouth. But sometimes things fall in your lap too. But you gotta be in the game for that to happen. You can't make the game-winning touchdown reception if you're not in the game. Those types of things. But just the risk is a big one for me. I don't want to jeopardize my family's well-being and all these other things, and my employees' well-being. You don't want to take risks and get them dependent on you, and then all of a sudden you're nothing going on. You don't want to do that either. So there's some ethical sides to it also that you gotta weigh in on and do your due diligence.
Yeah. So speaking to that, how do you come up with all these different ideas? Obviously, you started.
The old saying of "Don't ever trust a skinny cook." You find, like with us, you find the best things when you travel. The different places if you ever travel with me, I take pictures in bathrooms, and I've been caught a few times, and there's like,
who's this guy?
I ain't talking to him, but I do. I take pictures in bathrooms. I'm constantly looking. In the old days, they used to steal menus because you couldn't find them on. Now they put them all online. They're so easy. But the two original owners of Grizzlies, they would steal menus from places and just to get ideas and circle what they liked, and
you take a little bit from.
You just take pieces, and it's like, okay,
add it all together.
I like this, but let's do this to it, and you twist it. There's not a lot of new ideas out there. I mean, everything's been done at some point or another. It's just how you put your twist on it. To me, Seven West Tap House is a very simple menu. I actually had the Blue Rock chef working there today, and he's gonna be bored out of his mind because it's burgers and whatever. It's busy. He's not going to be bored, but it's not challenging. It's not challenging. It's not challenging to a true chef per se. But people like it. People like simple food is a bad term, but it's comfort food that is people are not afraid of. Not afraid of it.
Familiar
They can rely on it too. Like, I've always gotten a good burger when I've gone in there, and there's not much to mess up on it, obviously.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of seasoning that goes into it. It's different than your average place, but yeah. So there's just trying to find that niche of what they want, and even Seven West doesn't work in every situation. We have 5 of them in our group, and we're probably gonna change one of them. It just doesn't work in that area. We learned that it went from a downtown concept to what we call suburbia, which is the bigger version up on the hill here. And, you know, we probably wouldn't look for downtown locations anymore. They do okay. We won't, not gonna close them. They're profitable, but you want to go for that bigger challenge, that bigger.
High traffic,
Yeah,
more.
you gotta have more upside. You know, downtown versions don't have as much upside because they only have so many seats.
Mm.
So just different things you learn along the way, and you know, how many seats should you have? Well, that all depends. How fast is your food? What kind of staff can you get? What is the customer's perception? Do they want to sit? You know, when we first started 7 West, if you came in and ordered your food and a beer, your food was up before your beer, and they were still outside smoking, and they were both sitting there by the time they got back. It was like, okay, that's a little too fast. You know? But in downtown, that's the way they started. They're still that fast.
Yeah.
That's just how they
Been
still
operating.
do it. You know,
Yeah.
different ones change their cook times and because of volume, and you kind of roll with the punches a little bit, but you got to make those educated decisions on where you go to.
So I'm a big picture, methodical systems kind of guy. Is there some kind of algorithm or something that you take to the drawing table when you're starting up a new business, figuring out the things of the wait times and how fast things are moving?
It all depends, you know, it all depends on the location. You know, I go into a location once we have an idea of what we want, I'll walk it. I actually drew out blue rock with chalk on the floor, and everything hit. My wife and I did it, and you know, there were easier ways to do it, but we were down there with chalk and.
Gotta be visual.
But my vision for that concept, it laid out just like I wanted it, and now we're changing it. But you know, there's nothing that's like concrete in stone. You've got companies that have their little manuals, you know, that are 18 feet thick.
Exactly the same way every single time, every single.
I keep
place.
joking with my managers, someday I'm gonna write this stuff down, and whenever I'm like, I don't need to write it down. It changes every time anyway, so. But you know, you start out, you gotta have your product, you gotta find how you want it to look, and you know, where your food cost wants to be, where your liquor cost wants to be. Now my value concept and my high-end concept, where do I wanna fall? You know, in those, you know, 7 West, I wanted it to be value, so that's why we did, you know, a la carte kind of, so people can pick and choose what they want. You know, aren't being forced to get fries. If you want fries, they're available.
Mhm.
But it was all based on, that one was based on food cost for the most part. I knew I could make it fast with the equipment that we were looking at, but you know, everyone's just so different. There's no one math. If there was a mathematical equation, that would be awesome. I love math, but there's just not, you know.
Well, you're never going to cater to everybody.
Right. You know, and as Grizzlies, we tried. We had some of the best Tex-Mex food in forever. You know, for a long time, we had some Oriental food. We tried every little thing to make everybody happy. And you know, you just, at some point, you gotta just
Kind of find your niche and hone in.
Find your niche
Yeah.
and then go for it. So.
Is that where the spur off of other restaurants have come from? When you niche down one and you still have that itch to do that type of food, is that when you do a branch off?
Well, the two similar ones are Boulder and 7 West. They were created at the same time. They were both going to have a ton of tap beer. They both were going to have burgers, but we were going to do 7 West in downtown locations. And Boulder, we were going to, you know, buy your old timber lodge buildings and whatever was available, more 5,000 to 7,000 square feet. So that menu, we knew we were going to have more seats. We needed a bigger menu. So that's where it went, you know. Now you want to go into markets where you're not only competing against the burger places, but we want to compete against Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yep.
So we have them right next door to Wild Wings in markets, and they do very well. And so then it's wings, and then that one kind of creeped up too. No, it's salad, and tacos were the craze for a while. Everyone's gotta have taco on it. You got tacos on it, you know. But the nice thing about like even 7 West is now we can do the taco of the month.
I love
So now
that.
we got
aspect.
something different, and that's where I give the staff the reins to create. Now they can talk amongst themselves and create. So I don't create any of the burgers of the month or tacos
Really?
of the month.
Huh.
They do all that. I don't
And they're,
touch it.
you know, that they're in the store. They're on the front lines more.
Yeah.
So they,
Yeah.
you know, that
And
that
they
makes
have ideas.
sense.
They want to try things, and you know, some make the menu, some don't. But you know, to me, that's why we created that system. Is the menu needs to be this, and then you can go off the wall on somebody that they go off the wall. They're pretty crazy sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that just adds to the character, I think, of the restaurants.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just a cheeseburger and
Yep.
fries.
Right.
You know, you have some of the more unique options. So
Yeah.
no, I think that's really cool, and it adds to the the overall personality of the restaurant.
Right.
So you have a lot of irons in the fire.
Yep.
There's a lot of things going on. You've
Yep.
got all the restaurants. You've got this is a coffee, and it's going to be a whiskey bar.
Yep.
You have a gift shop, and
Yes.
you have a bid company, right?
Online auction.
Or online auction company. What was the name of that?
Twin Ports bid.
Twin Ports bid, right? So that's a lot of different things that you're kind of overseeing.
Mm-hmm.
What being a serial entrepreneur, what is the hardest thing about managing all those?
Just wanting to be a part of everything at the same time.
Yeah.
So the auction company, that was a big part, and I didn't know anything about that side of it. I had a friend who wanted to venture out, and so I basically helped him get it started, and I enjoy it a lot. And we did a lot of things together. Now I don't do so much with that. I'll help out occasionally, but that one's pretty self-sufficient as far as he's got that. And my wife thinks that my days off should be at the gift shop, so that's where I spend my Labor Day weekend. I was at the gift shop. So, but that's like a zen place for us. It's Weeping
A
Willow.
hobby.
It was my wife's dream to own a gift shop.
Yeah.
And she worked for Essentia for a while and wanted to retire. And I'm like, you know what, we're fine. You can retire. And she watched the grandbabies for a little bit. And one day I was just like, ready to open your gift shop? And she's like, shut up. I'm like, I already got the space. I already got, things lined up. So we went for it.
Yeah.
And it was, we at that point, and same with the auction, we had the means to do it. If they both had to close right now, we wouldn't miss a beat. We were fine. We were able to get that going without having to worry about it. But yeah, it's just that part of it's just fun. So now we're still developing ourselves. We're transforming all the time. And to me, that's still the construction side. So it's still fun. Once it's like set, and I don't have to build shelves and move stuff. I'm probably going to be bored with it.
Then you're more hands on with it.
So what's your next venture you're planning then?
Hands on.
Oh, it's classified. Stay tuned.
All I can say is chicken is very popular. How's that?
Looking forward to it because I love chicken. How do you know when you can step away from that business and
Well,
start
you never
your venture?
completely step away, but you know when you just feel when it's comfortable. Like when we did Boulder and it's 90 minutes away, we knew when he was fine. We were there a lot at the beginning. It's like I was making that trip. I think I put 30,000 miles on it.
Just going back and forth.
So, but you just learn. You just have a feel. You don't ever walk away completely.
Mhm.
And it's nice having I have a director of operations up here, and he can take care of a lot of that also. So I can find more businesses still.
Yeah. Well,
But you found what you love about entrepreneurship is that startup.
I like the startup. I like finding it, and then looking at a space, and then how are we going to change this, and that part is like just I'm in heaven.
yeah. Well, and you obviously you've shown you can test things and see, hey, is this going to be successful? Does it need to be something else? I mean, we're sitting in this, it was a coffee shop, and now it's going to change to a coffee shop whiskey bar. So you can see, hey, this is something that it was an idea. It needs some tweaking. Let's test this next.
Yep.
Next idea.
And my mindset's changed too. I mean, I used to be I'd go into a different, a restaurant or whatever, and I could tell you every table that didn't need a refill. I could tell you which tables weren't happy. I could tell you which table didn't get the right food. And it's like, well, that's not relaxing. So, my wife was amazed for a while, and it's like, okay, this is getting old. You need to stop. I'm like, okay. And I have to sit whenever we go anywhere. I always have to sit a certain way so I can see everything, just like if I was working. So yeah, it's kind of fun. That part never goes away.
Yeah. Well, you've had so many years in the industry. Like
you actually still learn every time you go somewhere.
Yeah.
You learn something different.
Yeah. Any closing thoughts or any last minute things you want to talk about before we end things here?
I just think it's, it's important to me, and I tell my kids that probably won't go in the business, that, you have to do something that you love. If
Yeah.
you don't love it, I could care less if I make a penny. I'll be fine. It's never been about money. It's always been about what doesn't feel like work.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the biggest thing. It's like, you gotta love what you do.
Yeah, and like you said, it can be stressful, it can be a challenge,
Oh,
but it's a
absolutely.
challenge that you want to solve.
Yep.
It's something that
Yep.
you enjoy figuring out the solution. And yeah, I think that's probably the key to life. It's like something that you can continuously work on and progress.
Even with my wife, when we go to Cancun, it's like the first hour of the morning, I get 1 hour of computer time, and I'm not really changing the world or fixing anything, but I know what's going on.
Yeah.
And I bring her coffee, and we start our vacation day. And it's like, and that's fine. It's like people that don't bug him, he's doing that. I'm like, bug me.
Yeah.
It's like I can probably answer the question a lot faster and a lot less headache than they can figure out at the time. It's like that it takes nothing.
Yeah.
People that don't want to be bothered don't like what they're doing.
Yeah.
I want to be a part. I want to help. I want to make their day easier and stuff like that.
Well, that's definitely apparent.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The final question I had, are you changing the bathroom of this place now that it's getting a new spin?
No.
No.
Nope. Bathroom staying the same.
What do you mean? To have a peacock or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Actually, that's a funny one because I'm trying to figure out. I need just something different to do here, and I haven't quite figured out what it is yet. And I'm running out of time. It's probably going to be a live wall.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a space right here that gets sun, and we might make that whole thing a living wall.
That'd be cool.
So that actually it's my director of operations baby. He wants to do it. Well, you're watering it then. So,
Yeah.
because I'll kill it. So.
Nothing worse than just a dead spot.
You're the knock stuff down guy.
Exactly.
Not to keep it alive.
You want the
guy.
wall gone, I'm your guy, but don't expect me to put anything fancy up there.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. Rick, we really appreciate you sitting down and
Awesome.
talking with us
Yeah.
and kind of telling your story. So
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.